All right.
Fixed.
Fixed. Simple as that. So, any comments on anything here? The feasibility study, you want to go over it right now, or, I don't think
I guess
we need to.
I do have one thing in regards to the feasibility study. So is this what we're requesting or what we're putting out there, is that acceptable to CPRD and the board and what they generally put out for a request for the feasibility study and the information that's required?
It's a good question. We're not there yet, but
Well, I know, but but we've got an outline, so does it meet CPR standards?
have you read that?
It would have to go to the staff before the board, and then the staff would recommend it to the board. So that would be staff driven, not coming to the board. Because they would have to recommend it to us for review. That's their job.
Did you hear any of that?
Yeah, no, I heard that.
Okay.
I would say it's not ready for
Prime
publication.
time.
It's not built as an RFP. It's more of a augment to the request for funding to the board for the feasibility study. So this is being used as just
Yeah.
what the 150K or whatever number Kellen goes in for, what that's gonna get us. in
I
a
can tell
feasibility
you,
study.
I can tell you that Kellen did turn his budget into me, and there is a line item that does have that feasibility study in there, that money in there. I can't say exactly how much it is, but it was in there. It was approved by Kellen, and then it came to me, and it was approved by me. And now I've sent it in to the superintendent, and they have about 3 weeks or so to work with, to put the whole budget together for the budget committee, and then they'll move forward with that. And then once that is approved, then you'll be able to see how much they put
So
in there.
how long does it take to approve it and finalize it?
Jim, you might know more than I do about that.
How long is it?
The budget itself for this next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically the budget committee will meet, and it's a public meeting too, you're all welcome to come to it. Yeah.
Just what he wants.
I don't know.
I can hear him loud and clear, so.
Can you? That must be my coaching voice, but anyway,
Exactly.
the budget will be approved and then it's adopted soon after that, but it doesn't go into effect till July 1. So we don't spend the money out of it till
Right.
July 1,
Okay.
and then we can move ahead. Now, you could do your RFP and so on ahead of time if you wanted to, but again, the money can't be dispersed till after July 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess the question I have is the budget amount that was submitted, is it sufficient to, get the information needed to make a decision based on, a feasibility study? Because they can be, they could be a, 5-page feasibility study, it could be 150-page feasibility study, depending on the level of questioning and in-depth, information needed. So that's where I was getting at, is kind of, say it's 150 grand. Do we have any idea how we derive that 150 grand? And if so, then is that, what the staff is gonna be looking for information to support the approval of that?
Good question. I can only answer that what you have in front of you or on your, from your email is that my research that shows that it's approximately average $150,000. And that would primarily include a feasibility study and a business plan in a very small fashion.
So I confirmed that number with 2 different architects and a couple different economist firms as well. So between the 4 of them, we kind of circled around what that number gets us. And when we publish an RFP, my recommendation, we put what our budget is, and then they can put together, as part of their response, what we get for that amount of money, and that's part of the evaluation criteria.
By the way, you're taking notes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. No, that's perfect. That's what I was asking. Thank you.
All right. So that's that. There's another item here. Find it. Did all of them go bye-bye? There it is. Okay. Thank you.
He's got a PhD.
Roger, are you there? Can you hear us now?
Yes,
Oh, good. Okay, you updated or gave me a timeline today. You want to go over that in any way, shape, or form?
no, I don't, I'm sorry, I'm not at home, don't have any of my resources, so.
Oh, gotcha, okay. So this phase one, which we're, like I said, we are part of now in June, it's the end of our phase one, first year. Phase two goes in to another year. And so, so this is the first.
Well, actually, phase two is 2026, so it's after our term ends. Phase one was just our current objective for this year and next year.
Right. Yeah, thank you. So in 2026, that's when the phase two comes into play. And we're only on phase one. That's what this is all about here. Okay? So, as usual, we put the mission statement up there so it keeps us refreshed and understanding the direction that we're going. And then we're down to the finalization and of our report and presenting the CPRD board with the findings that we have, and that should be at the end of this month. We're really, really close. We only have a few more to get to. Joe did 3 meetings, interviews, or whatever, however you got that information, for 3 different clubhouses, and got some valuable information on that. I got two locations that I had contacted. They returned their information. Did you get a chance to?
I'm playing phone tag with both coaches for
Oh, yeah?
Sherwood Newberg.
Okay. Dennis Lewis gathered and gave me the information from Leah. I wish I could remember her name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The Newberg Taste, or Taste Newberg, and that was a good input. I enjoyed that. But again, I'm not going to read any of it. That said, in April, it looks like the board should be ready to approve and authorize the staff to issue an RFI. You want to explain what an RFI is?
Request for information, but it's more appropriate. This would be a request for proposals, an
Okay.
RFP.
We'll change that to
Yeah.
RFP. May I borrow your pen? Okay. RFP. For the feasibility study. And then the board and the staff get together and develop an RFP. There it is right there, for feasibility study and business plan. And then on May of 25 this year, advises staff and board that when it says advise, it means the committee is advising. And that should have been clarified there. The board in selection of a consultant for a feasibility study and business plan. You want to, this is the one that was omitted, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Roger?
I think it's a little premature, Bob, that wouldn't occur till after the budget's approved.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Selection of a contractor?
We can write the RFP, issue the RFP, but not, and select a consultant, but not issue notice to proceed until July 1 when the budget takes effect.
I would think that's premature. If it's not, the budget doesn't get approved, there's no reason to go that step.
Well,
Well, you heard today that there is a budget line item that is going to take care of the cost of that. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do that. But if you
Budget
know,
isn't
if
approved
you,
until July. Doesn't take no effect until 1st of July.
correct.
yeah, nobody's arguing that.
Yeah.
The argument is, do we plan ahead and get prepared for that in developing an RFP? We can do that and then submit it whenever we want, whenever the budget is in place. You would know these
Yeah,
things.
you're not awarding any dollars or any contract or any commitment to anybody. It's getting the preliminary documents ready. So we anticipate the budget to be approved as is. So, when that gets approved, and instituted July 1st, we could send out an RFP July 2nd and get that going. I mean, the reality is you could submit it right, send it out right now based on those numbers and stuff. You weren't not going to award it to anybody until you got the commitment, but it's just however you want to do it. It's just what you're saying is the budget's not approved till July 1, which means we can't commit to anything. I should say not we, but the staff can't commit to anything until that budget's approved.
In reality, the contractor wouldn't be able to start until the first board meeting after July 1 to
Yeah, it's
sign the
ratified.
contract.
Yeah.
But you're right, we could issue the RFP anytime now if we had it ready. Just know they can't start.
Procrastination is one of my, I don't want to procrastinate any longer with this, because I think there's been procrastination for years. And why procrastinate now? We are so close to get this moving towards developing a RFP, or correction, a clubhouse, and third line. But again, we have to follow protocol, we understand that, and Roger's pointing that out appropriately. And so it'll be up to us, I guess, or you guys to make that decision, not up to us at all. Sir, Jim?
Yeah, so any RFP or any of that information is not board-driven, it's staff-driven. You would have to come to the staff would develop it, and they would come to the board with it. That's how that works. That's, because we're just policy and so on, we are not day-to-day operation actions, so they would have to, Casey or Keelan or whoever would work with you to develop it, or they would develop it, and then they bring it to the board for approval, that RFP or RFQ or RFI, whichever three you're gonna do.
One of them.
All right.
Does the board
Yeah.
approve RFPs before they get released? Or is that something the staff does and they just bring you the resulting contract that was reviewed, or the
It's just
the
gonna
award
depend on how it's
recommendation?
presented to us. It's gone both ways before. But usually, we like to review those things. But again, some of our board may not have any idea of how those are written. That's why we hire the staff. So that's what they do.
So,
Yeah.
Julie, question for the staff.
Yes.
Has anybody in the staff written a feasibility study?
We usually contract that out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob, I
And-
volunteered to help Kellen with that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who did you?
I did.
Cool.
I'll help Kellen get it drafted.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. That's great.
I did want to mention that typically the board does not meet in July because of the Old Fashioned Festival. So something to keep in mind. Isn't that correct? I mean,
Correct,
huh?
correct, but it can always meet.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Usually because of the Old Fashioned Festival, they push to August, but just something to think
Can
about.
you- Can you have an emergency session? To
We have in the
to
past.
vote the budget in?
We have in the past.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that approval of the budget happened in June, but it did not take effect until July.
Correct.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying that if if we're going to spend the money,
Oh, got it.
after,
Yeah, I understand.
July,
Yeah,
that,
after it's approved.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think we can work it out, talk with the superintendent, and Julie can talk with them. I think we can work it out, I don't wanna have any kind of problems, so we'll work it out.
Okay, sounds good.
Bob, I'd like to move on this,
Yep,
the action phase 1 revised,
okay.
that we have a chance to review this and update it
Okay,
before it's finalized.
so we're not gonna vote on it, we're just gonna update it the next month, for next month. Yeah. All right, fair enough. Okay. All right, let me look here. Okay, and the next one is preparation for everything that we're doing as far as a committee and getting it put in a binder and submitted to you by the end of this month. Is there anything that anybody wants to discuss as far as their concerns about that, or is there a way that you see that you could be another part of this to get it done faster? I don't want to procrastinate anymore, like I said.
I mean, seems like
I think
this
we need
is,
to make sure it's complete and not just thrown together, so make sure we got all the input reviewed.
Yeah.
And not just thrown together and to get a report out by the end of the month.
Right.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, going at this pace, I mean, it is what it is, but getting all the information possible, I mean, like the ones of, Dennis, what Tony's trying to get from the schools, I mean, again, just getting all this information before, again, not putting the cart before the horse, I mean, I hear you, and obviously this is my first time being on this and know that it's been years trying to get this going, so, but yeah, I feel like the pace and timing of everything is good right now. But getting this information first from all these groups, I mean, that's gonna be imperative.
Yeah, like I said, there's just a handful of them left that we have to just talk about and receive their information.
I'd like to have all the data collected this month for us
Yeah.
as a committee, and then spend next meeting next month, and us as the full committee, hopefully everybody can be here for that, to digest what all the comments are from the comment cards and all of our outreach and all the documentation we're collecting. And hopefully we can, as a committee, prioritize what we heard, because I'd need that for the RFP to give to the architect that says we need, our priorities are this, and not just a smorgasbord of data that we collected.
So I want to make sure that I'm hearing you right. In other words, postpone it this month until next month, when we can gather the information.
So have all the information this month
And then dissect it and our recommendations,
and make our priorities.
Yeah.
our priorities.
Because from talking to the golf courses that I have, combined with the comments from the golfers in public, combined with these groups, like there's gonna be 30, 40, 50 different things that should be done, but there needs to be about 5 to 10 priorities for the clubhouse. And as far as, cause it's like, you look at the comments and everything, and from the golfers and people that have gone through and filled out on the website or in the clubhouse, I mean, everybody would love a really, really nice restaurant, right?
Absolutely.
Is that a goal? Is that a priority of having a fully staffed year-round, like that's where it needs to get hashed out, is like, what do we want that clubhouse to be? And what do we want it to look like versus, again, taking all that information and being like, well, here's everything that we got. It's like, all right, what is this going to be? What are the actual goals and priorities? Like, again, just quickly, as far as one of the courses I talked to, their golf equipment sales are just like insane. Like the amount of money that they generate from fittings and equipment and having people that they're teaching on the course that then come in to buy their equipment from are we trying to have a fully available fitting staff that is able to put equipment together, like finding out those 5 to 10 priorities and then putting that together for the RFP of like, this is what we want the clubhouse to be versus, what these million comments and all this information we have. Like, that's going to be the kind of whittling it down to those 5, 10 key points, I think is what we're going to have to do before next month. So.
Oh, at next month's meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a committee, and just up and down and say, this is a priority, this is.
Yeah.
Roger, Tom, you have any comments on that? What he said?
No, I agree. I mean, we need to narrow it down. I mean, if you get, 500 different responses to it, you know, and you're probably gonna have 300 different, pieces to it, right? So narrowing it down to what we as a committee feel are appropriate things to look at and, try to contemplate what it needs to be. I don't know what that number is, how far down we need to get to the list, but I'd say, hey, here's 10 things and here's 5 alternates. Just throwing a quantity out there, right?
Yeah.
To anticipate or try to determine what would be best fit for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we might hear some things, I think we've heard some things too, of concerns, so that we make sure we point out the concerns about
Yeah.
the club,
Okay.
new club.
So I just, it's narrowing that list down to like, obviously the public comment and what the golfers and people who are gonna be using the clubhouse want versus what is realistic for the people who are gonna be operating the clubhouse. Just taking everything, and along with these focused groups of people that are giving us information, bringing it into a more realistic picture rather than like, well, these people want this, like, because I feel like one thing that, just talking to the golf courses as well, is like what works well for them versus what the people on that comment section want. So, which I feel like that's, where sacrifices or, some choices have to be made as far as like, okay, this might be what public wants, but is it realistic to how it's gonna operate for the clubhouse and what the Parks and Rec actually wants and sees the clubhouse being as well.
Okay.
And that's part of what the feasibility study is gonna vet out as well. They're gonna look and say, a full-scale restaurant's not really feasible.
Yeah.
That could get, dumped out before we get to that recommended footprint and size of the building.
Yeah.
Well, isn't the feasibility study before the business plan, shall we say?
They go hand in hand.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Mm.
But they have to come up with a solution or a layout, if you would, what's gonna be in the building and outside of the building, and then create the additional feasibility study pertaining to the business plan, I would assume.
Correct.
Okay. I don't see any problems that we've created here. The discussions are great. Any other comments from you two?
Well, I have one. So we're talking about the restaurant, for an example, and are we gonna staff it and all this other stuff? The fact of the matter is I believe what we would wanna do, and this is me talking, not anybody else, but I believe what we would wanna do is we wanna partner with somebody who's gonna lease that space. They're gonna run the restaurant. It's not gonna be ran by CPRD. It will be a benefit for us to have it there. That's what I envision. Now, I don't know how that works into the
I had the same thought.
in the feasibility study, but that's what I would do, and I absolutely believe, I will just tell you, I believe that you have to have that restaurant, because if you don't have a restaurant, I mean, you want this place to be a place not only for the golfer, but the guy that wants to take his wife out to dinner, okay? Or, I hope that it's got some kind of a ballroom, so that when you have events,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
not in a tent.
it's not gonna be just in a tent. I think the tent should continue to be an option for us for outdoor stuff. However, I just think that if your daughter's getting married, then there's a place that we can rent out. I mean, that's what I envision. How does that work with the feasibility? I don't know, but I just wanna throw that out there.
Yeah, we've had discussions like that, specifically trying to find somebody that will take the 99-year lease and build it for us or them. And then we sublease it or however that would work, I have no idea. But that is something that has been discussed.
Yeah.
And I like it because it's out of the financial hands of CPRD.
100%.
And so, why not? But the question is, where do you find these people? I don't have any source. Do you have any source, Jim, somebody can put $5 to $10 million into a facility?
Well, they don't need to spend $5 to $10 million in a facility. We're just talking about the kitchen, restaurant portion of it.
Oh,
We're not talking about having them build the whole thing.
lease the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's all I'm talking about.
Okay.
They lease the space,
Correct.
Yes.
and then
So
they develop that space
to suit their situation, so.
suit their needs and what their, clientele base they feel is needs.
Okay.
Yeah, so hypothetically, if the Allison wanted to be part of this, we could have the Allison at the Greens. I mean, the Allison at Shayhalen Park, whatever. Or
How about the Marriott?
Shayhalen Glen, excuse me.
Marriott at the Green.
Whatever, whoever it is, I'm just using them as a name.
Okay, I got it.
Like one example of it is, I don't know if it's Gearhart or,
The McMinimans?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
yeah. Gearhart, their golf course, it's leased by McMinimans. Their restaurant stuff, so, example.
And Bob, I was sharing that Alpine Crossing restaurant in McMinnville, that, they would be the perfect partner. And they are restaurateurs, they built Jay's, restaurant and Banning's restaurant, and they have a great, they have a, facility, it's called Loft and Lies over in McMinnville, I think I mentioned it before.
Been there.
And, yeah, and it's attached to the Alpine Crossing, restaurant, which is fantastic. It's almost like a cafe in the front, but it's a really nice restaurant in the back. And they're very golf oriented.
Mhm.
The golf simulators that they have on the other side of the restaurant, you can hear, when you're eating, you can hear, yeah, thump, thump. It's kinda cool, actually.
Yeah.
And, no swearing, didn't hear any swearing when I was there. But,
There's
I
a whiskey
really,
bar right next to
and
it.
there's a whiskey bar in the
Behind it.
back, and it's a really great example of, a restaurateur that might be interested in leasing something like that. Because McMinnville's kind of an odd, place to put something like that. They also own the granary, which is in that area.
Oh,
And that's very successful, so whatever they're doing, it's just, they're really doing it well. And so that would be a perfect fit, I think, for somebody like that. So it might be, I sent you that guy's name and his contact information, so he'd be a good one to, contact and say,
remember
would you
his
be
name,
interested in
Ryan?
something like that?
I don't remember his name, but I talked to him, and my wife and I went there,
Yeah,
and he showed us around, very happy to show us around. And he did say something to the effect of, you ought to talk to the manager, the owner,
yeah,
because they might be interested. And he says, as a matter of fact, the building right next door to that, Aspen Greens, whatever it's called,
yeah, Alpine Crossing, Alpine Crossing, I
is
think.
a big facility, and they bought that, and they're going to install the simulators.
Hmm.
It's gonna be a big thing in McMinnville, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll put that down, and I wish I could remember his name. Reinhardt? Inhardt?
Gearhart.
Gearhart.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
the one
the
that-
owner?
Oh, no, that's the city of Gearhart on the coast. They have a golf course, but their clubhouse and their restaurant is run by McMinimans.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's all there.
Yeah.
So, if we can find that information out, then we can contact him. Squeak is just bugging the crap. All right. Jim, you bored yet?
I'm on the board.
Oh, yes. That's
I
good.
didn't make a pun.
All right, so let's go here.
Are you asking me a question?
No, I'm just biding my time here. Report from committee members on contact with interest groups. Lee Jensen was her name on Taste Newberg. And then that's one of them. We have all of the results from the survey that we did over there at the golf club. And there's over 100 of them. So we have a pretty good feel of what the golfers would like.
And then we can like parse that down to a list of like I even started going through the comments and how many people like want a better food selection.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, I don't need to read the comments. To know
Yeah, the
that.
hot dog.
Yeah, my dad let me know about it last time. But yeah, just basically like numbering, like, all right, there was this many comments that said they want a better pro shop. You know, how many of those comment cards had that? Put a number. How many want a better restaurant? Want spirits available at the bar? And just being able to number it. And I think that at least will help. Like, all right, out of the 150 surveys, comments that we got, how many like, you know, how many wanted a golf simulator? 2, 3? Okay, then maybe that's not something to consider versus having a better pro shop, having a better facility for golfers, you know, kind of being able to number that and get a actual like quantitative number behind those comments rather than just, again, having all that information.
So you'll spend some time and parse that?
I
Yeah, we-
already started doing that when we first started getting the comments, so I have no problem kind of having numbers behind that, saying like this, how of all the comments we got, this many wanted
Yeah.
this feature. So yeah, that's something
I like
can
it.
do. Just to sort it a little bit more.
We will
rather than-
commission him to do that.
Yeah.
Don't think we have to make a motion on that. Thank you, Joe. Again, along with that, I agree that a simulator, this is my personal feeling, a simulation bays or in an area where they have something that the people that are coming for golf and maybe they can't golf because it started raining, they can go inside there and continue to be there, use the facilities, and wait their turn to come back onto the course. In other words, we don't lose them. Because once there's rainouts or postponements, people have a tendency to leave.
Gives Kellen a year-round instruction bay as well.
That's true. What was the other one you talked about? Was it Centennial that had pros?
Centennial, yeah, down in Medford. Now, their relationship is a little, it's unique, but I mean, again, they do a ton of golf equipment and pro shop sales, and they have like, I would maybe have to contact him and get more definitive answer, but it's essentially a golf academy that uses the course for teaching, instruction, and also fittings. But it's basically contracted, like they have a deal where it's like, if we can do all of our teaching and everything here for free, then we'll funnel these people over to you for when they need their new equipment, they need to get fit, they need to get all this equipment. So it's, again, I would have to find out what that academy is, but essentially since they brought on that team of instructors in that golf academy, their sales of their golf equipment, their pro shop, it doubled because people come over and then they start looking at equipment and then they have someone fitting and being able to order things from, I think it was like Mizuno or Callaway. Is who they have their relationship with. So that's the other thing, is having a relationship with, a golf company like Ping or something like that. But again, this is also where I go back to what I was saying, is like finding out like what we want that clubhouse to be. It's like, do we want it to have a bigger pro shop and be more of a golf retail location than it already is? I wouldn't be shocked if Kellen told us that their golf equipment sales are not crazy, like they have a limited availability of, putters and drivers right now. So again, that's where it's like, all right, do we want to put our focus into that, where we're trying to have a ton of revenue come in on golf equipment, so, but that is something that they do that is able to increase their, golf pro shop sales. But what you're saying about the simulator is if you have Kellen in an area where he's able to work with people in teaching and lessons, and also have someone on staff that is a fitter and knows how to get them into proper equipment. I mean, that's being able to do that year round versus when it's just nice out. That does make a difference. Yeah.
Perhaps in the beginning it wouldn't happen because it'll be so new. But as time goes on and that we start building this clientele up, we can have something like that. But we can always request it and see what happens.
My
Good.
point to that would be, it's hard to sell what you don't have.
Yeah.
True.
So I sold printing for 13 and a half years, and I worked at a printing company, and we had dinosaur barely adequate equipment, and the owner thought, you know, it'd be a great idea if we, actually, it wasn't the owner, it was the salespeople said, we should get bigger presses, modern presses, 6-color presses. And the owner said, okay, let's take a look, how much are you gonna sell? And he just went through all the different salespeople, added it all up, it does make sense. We know what happened is we ended up bringing on a client where you needed that. And so we got those presses in, and what we found out, we needed 2 of them. So if you bring in the service, you will sell it.
Mm-hmm. Build it,
So,
and they will come.
The field of dreams.
You know, one of the things that, I think a lot of great ideas, But the one thing that, and you're fully aware of this, is that the bigger we get, the more infrastructure is gonna be required.
Mhm.
That means the more land that's gonna be required. And do we have that land? And that will come out in
It's
the
part of the
feasibility
feasibility.
study saying, you wanna do all these things, they're just gonna bring in this many people, where are they gonna park? And then the
Yeah.
city comes into play,
Mhm.
and then we deal with all that. So you have so many different angles that you're gonna have to look at, come to your final conclusion, to be able to make this a self-sufficient endeavor.
And that's, I mean, taking the comments, all this information that's where I want to parse it down, because it's like, oh yeah, this would be great, having this would be great, having this. Talking to that Centennial Golf Club in Medford, his biggest problem is like, yeah, it's successful, but it is a pain in the ass when it comes to space and having things like no room for them to operate even. So they're trying to have a restaurant, they're trying to do events that also bleed into the pro shop itself. So you have people eating at the restaurant or at an event, and there's golf shoes on the wall right next to them, while they're also trying to get people into new clubs. So it's like, yeah, it's great that they're doing all that, but as far as the owner or the GM of the place, he has no room to operate. There's no break rooms. There's no, like, his office is filled to the brim with stuff that, again, it just makes his life harder. So
whoever pointed that out, because I read that whole thing.
yeah.
They have the pro shop and the restaurant combined, or seating of the restaurant
Yeah.
combined, and that's where you're saying, we got a bit of a problem there.
Yeah.
You know,
Where
that
it's
would be
like-
an easy fix as far as I can.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, his sales numbers and everything he tells me, it's like they sound great, but also for him, he's just like, operationally, this is not sufficient for me. So it's kind of one of those where it's like, yeah, we do this because we put up with it because it's been working for so many years, but
Yeah.
like for him, it's like trying to talk on the phone sometimes. He has to yell
Yeah, that's
because the restaurant there's so many people in it. So yeah.
And that was an I want to say afterthought, but the facility was there and they added this to it, so they're trying to fit it in. This is one.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
nice.
if
in our
it's something we
situation.
want, it's
Yeah.
something that's desired, we can build it into the perform of the package.
Yeah. But again, that's where it's just like having a area for golf fitting and all that. That's great, but it's like, is that a priority for you guys and for Kellen and for the team to be like, yeah, we want to have a great pro shop where we're selling thousands of dollars worth of equipment and doing fittings and re-gripping. Like, is that a priority? You know, and that's where we put it up the list, down the list.
Yeah.
Whereas, again, looking at those public comments where it's like, all right, well, clearly people in this area care about having somewhere to eat, having a better dining option at the course. Like, okay, that gets bumped up the list. Whereas the, you know, instruction area, fitting area, being able to sell more clubs, like that gets bumped down. So
we're gonna have that big building over there where the carts are right now, provided that we have the facility to put at least 72 carts. So that's gonna be available. And the what do you call it? Barn? The cart barn? Yeah. Yeah. So there's gonna be some space for repairs and fittings, or not fittings, but repairing of clubs and the various things like that. We assume. We don't know. All right, anything else on the agenda here? I mean, I ain't got the agenda. You wanna talk about anything? Last chance, we're gonna close up shop here. So the next meeting, anybody have a calendar here? Let me
I
get.
do have to say thanks for all your work. Appreciate it, you guys.
You guys, you're so kind. You
try.
do that every
Just say yes
day
to the
almost.
budget.
So thank you.
April
very much.
14th,
April 14th.
second Tuesday or second
That's a
Monday.
good day.
Yep.
I'm sorry. It's a what?
That's a good day.
Good day, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's 4/14? Yeah. 4/14 is our next meeting.
What do you think the timeline for packaging all the comments and feedback should be?
Well,
Should
I
we
don't-
have it all done next week for you
Yeah.
to package it up and send it out to the board for review, and then we can have a really in-depth meeting next month?
Could, but I don't know how we're gonna go around this, but I mean, the gathering of the information and putting it all together, I don't think, and I really wouldn't want the public to be bored or participated in that. But how do we go about going around it? Because of the public laws. Because there's gonna be a quorum and more, maybe hopefully 5 or 6, 7 of them, 7 of us max.
If you have a quorum, then the public needs to be, you need to be able to be online with the public. You can't do it. Not doing
Isn't
What's
the
the-
public for a decision-making when we do decision-making?
It's
Not-
all the time,
It's any time that we get together, no matter what.
yeah. If it's an official meeting.
Okay. Well, we'll work around it, I guess.
What's the hesitation?
Because it's going to be piles of things, putting it together into binders. And all it is gonna take one here, one here, one here, one here, and just start putting it together.
Oh,
So do we have to, since 7 of us are gonna be together, I mean, why would we have to have the public be involved in that? That's the only question I have.
Why binders and not just one big PDF?
Yeah.
And all you're talking about is having a list of, this is the number one thing that they wanted, this is the number, that,
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, we have an executive statement
Okay.
that we should have everybody accumulate all their information, their thoughts about this. And then we discuss what we want to put in the executive statement. And then all of this information is going to be, it's going to be a pretty hefty amount. And I'm all for that, a PDF file for everything. But in fact, I've accumulated all of the things that I've had that are going to be part of that. But it's always nice to have a 3-ring binder what you can turn to and say, oh, let's flip this over and see what this.
it. Somebody could always print that out off PDF too if they want and have their own binder, right?
Hey, if that's what you guys want,
It's not
We'll
what I
discuss
want,
with the
it's what you
staff.
guys want.
it's with the staff, maybe we can just submit all of the PDF and they can do whatever they want. That's a good idea, but we're supposed to submit it to you
Well, you would go through staff first.
first.
They'll come to, the board again, that's not our wheelhouse.
Okay.
We'll make the, decisions we have to make, but it's staff.
Okay, Julie, you're on board on that one.
I was gonna say, you could send it to us and Kellen and I, we can put it together. We'd be happy to do that.
Make sure that's in the meeting, the minutes. All right, well, then that's it. Comments from committee members. I have no comment. Anybody else want to comment in the committee?
I would say that I just need the most recent, I don't know if it's you, Julie, or Kat, or whoever has the list of all the Clubhouse survey comments that were done.
Oh, the packet, I mean, the whole,
All of it.
all of
yeah.
it.
Be like, I know there was a one from online that was like a spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and then just all of those. I'll need the most, because I know that we stopped taking record of it after a certain amount.
it's still online, I noticed.
I believe that's CAT. I don't have that.
Okay.
I know.
But I think it's CAT.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, Joe, I've got the
Roger.
spreadsheet of the comments.
All right.
I'll be happy to send that, when I get back in town next week, I'll send it off to you.
Cool.
all right, anybody else?
So again, I'd like to have, not to put Joe on the spot, but the ranked things and then all of the other feedback that everybody's collected independently in a PDF or a single email that we can all read and digest at least 2 weeks before the next meeting.
Okay.
So we're not getting an agenda.
So we're not done for this month, in other words, and that's good. We didn't plan on being done.
Yeah,
This is the time we were gonna put together as fast as we possibly can to submit it to the staff.
yeah, but I don't think there's that pressure's not there if we can't start the RFP work until July.
True.
And the budget's there, so I'd rather take the time, get it right, and have that really robust discussion in April.
I would agree.
But if we can have everything, the 14th is our date, if all the conversations can be packaged up and compiled, going backwards in my calendar here. Where'd that calendar go? If everything be done and sent out to the board by the 28th of this month, to the committee,
Oh, okay.
and then that gives us all 2 weeks to chew on it, read it, digest it, and then be able to come back and as a committee set the rankings, because we may not agree with what comes out of the 150 cards that came up.
Yeah.
Based on the other conversations we had with other clubhouses or other heavy users of the course.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that sound good to everybody?
Well, I know-
Bob, do you also need to mention that it looks like we may need to get another committee member? Jeff?
Oh, that's
You
right.
need-
Yeah, Jeff Dillon resigned due to personal issues.
How many committee members do you guys have?
We have now 6, but Dennis just let me know that he's gonna resign as well.
It's up to you guys.
So that's
whether-
5.
It's up to you guys whether you wanna have any more. 5 is fine.
I was told
5 is fine.
7.
Don't look at me.
Well, you were talking.
7 was
at the-
maximum, 5 is fine.
As long as you have a quorum, yeah, it's like, and a lot of times you got such turnover, if you get the folks that are really here and putting the work in and so on, you get more people than you're not, and you're gonna have that again. So it's always a few that do the work of the many, I'm sorry to say that, but that's how it is.
No, actually, it makes everything happy because a quorum would be 3
Yeah,
if we only had 5.
correct.
You can't get much done with 2. We've learned that
I
going
don't think you wanna
through
get
this.
smaller than 5, but
No.
Okay. All right, well, got things to do and things to talk about, but, I mean, that's, Roger, it's up to Kat, and I already submitted that request to Jeff to submit to Kat his resignation, and so we'll find out what she wants to do. She said that she wants to put it out or take the people that have already,
well, you can just tell Kat also, if you feel comfortable with the 5, then just go with the 5. And just say, this is what we like to do as a committee, and then rock and roll. I don't wanna make it difficult on you guys.
okay.
Or you can get a bunch more people, it's up to you.
The max is 7, I know that, because I was here when the staff indicated that. And I think you guys voted on it. But I didn't know about the 5. I always thought it had to be 7.
No.
Cool. All right. All right, so with that, we're adjourned.
All right, good job, guys.
Oh, man.
Questions, actually?
Yeah.
So my